sports right now with Boots and Poops. Alright, well, this is what we're going to do first. We're going to talk AFC playoff picture. We're going to break it all down for you guys.
You know, I need to bring this up because I know you're going to bring it up anyway. I'm going to get brutalized by this. We've got to talk for a moment about Bama. I know you picked Bama. I know I said Georgia. I was going big on Georgia.
Big. You said Georgia big.
I believe there's only two people in the United States that picked Bama. One was you, the other, Stephen A. And Stephen A. was lording it on First Take today that he had picked Bama. I'm sure you're going to do the same thing. The floor is yours.
I would like to go back to the Friday broadcast and recall, how can you pick Bama? Bama stinks. Bama's nothing compared to Georgia. Have you seen that D-line? Have you seen that defense? And I said...
It's the O-line.
And I broke down what Bama needed to do. And guess what happened? They did exactly that. They played great defense. They played... Jameson Williams had two long touchdown catches. And the O-line was superb.
That's what I couldn't believe. I don't understand how that happened.
That's what I was talking about.
How did that happen?
I was talking about how that right side of the line needed to hold up. That happened. And also, the fact that Robinson didn't have a good game.
He's hurt, though. That's not his fault. Yeah. He's hurt. But do you have an explanation for how Auburn is all over Bryce Young? All over him. He had no time at all.
I do have an explanation.
And then, all of a sudden, against the best defense in the country, he's got all day back there. What happened?
I get it.
I don't understand.
First of all, Alabama came into that game against Auburn a little shocked. Clearly, they didn't think Auburn was going to play as good as they were.
Why did they wait for the last 2 minutes to start playing?
Second of all, Georgia hasn't played. Georgia's pass rush looks so good because they didn't play a soul.
They played some of the same teams.
I said this
Alabama.
in our Friday broadcast.
No, we talked about this. They played some of the same teams Alabama played, and they had much easier time against those teams than Alabama did.
I'm just saying they haven't played a ranked opponent.
I really think. Well, I think Bryce Young. I've said this before.
They haven't played a team
He's the best quarterback Alabama has had in decades, maybe ever. Seriously, and they've had some wonderful quarterbacks there, but. And I believe that, but if you give somebody no time whatsoever, great or not, there's a limit to what they can do. I just didn't think the offensive line was going to protect him. I was shocked.
He has that quick arm release, which I talked about.
I know, you keep talking about that, but he didn't need to be. He had like 5 seconds back there.
I'm just saying. It
was unbelievable. The performance was unbelievable. Now, what I don't know is that Alabama going to show up? I don't think they really have to show up against Cincy, but are they going to show up in the championship game?
Cincinnati
or is the Alabama from the Auburn game going to show up? We're going to talk about this for the next 3 weeks. Yeah, I know. I do compliment you. That was an amazing pick. An amazing pick. One of the great picks of all time. And you know it because hardly anybody picked them. Anyway. Are we moving on?
That's one reason to subscribe. We have all the info here. We break down everything for you. You gotta subscribe. But
okay, now back to the NFL, the real football.
You're just trying to get off to the subject.
Well, for good reason. Good reason. Okay, if we're sizing up the
Poops
AFC.
Was wrong. Poops was wrong. Poops was wrong.
I admit I was dead wrong. I normally pick Alabama. I like Alabama.
I told you so.
I was shocked, though.
I told you so.
Okay, can we move on to the AFC?
Okay, I'll allow it.
I think the top tier of teams with clear separation now. Clear separation. Top tier. You've got whoever comes out of this game tonight, Pats versus Bills. And you've also got Kansas City. I think that those teams have separated. Especially if New England ends up beating the Bills on the road tonight. It's coming up shortly. If that happens, I think it's Pats, Chiefs on their own in the AFC. Obviously, there's going to be 5 other playoff teams. We can talk about them. But I think They're the only two with a real chance, is my opinion.
Okay, not agreed, but okay. I mean, Bills. I don't think the Bills are as good as they were last year. That offense just
Nowhere near.
is nowhere near as explosive. Last year they had so many things going for them. I think Josh Allen was playing. I think Josh Allen. People expected Josh Allen to be better this year than he was last year when he's really just stayed the same or been a little worse. But I mean, they've had bad losses to the Chiefs, to the Colts, the Jaguars.
All the AFC
they've had a
teams
number of bad
are flawed,
losses.
though. They're all flawed. They all have flaws. Just so you know, my second tier to this is Ravens, Titans, Chargers, and Bengals. That's who I believe are the level below this one.
Okay.
But I still think Bills are above that.
Okay, so here's what I want to talk about.
But
with
the
Ravens.
Bills really are playing.
Did you see
500...
that 2-point conversion for the Ravens?
Yeah, that's why I have
Where
the Ravens
Lamar
below.
could have just all he had to do was just dump it off.
Lamar's passing has been off from about the 5th or 6th week
That
on.
was one of the worst plays.
His accuracy, their whole passing game looks disorganized. You know, like they're kind of just waiting for him to make a spectacular run. Their passing game is not good. It's at the best mediocre. That's the best you could say about their passing game right now. They're really waiting around for Lamar to create miracles for the team. And that's not a way to get through the playoffs. But that's why I have them on a lower level. The Bills, if they beat the Patriots tonight, that's going to mean something. They've really been playing they got off to a good start, kind of more connected to last year. But the last 6 games, they've just been playing 500 ball. They belong on that lower tier if they stay doing that. But if they can beat the Patriots, who are playing the best ball right now, really, in the whole AFC. If you look at their last 4 games, they've won 6 in a row, but their last 4 games, they've been dominant. Now, they're not all great teams that they're beating, but they're winning in a dominant way. All these other teams, even when they play a mediocre team, they're not dominating. They all look kind of the same, with one eking out a win. And that to some
Let's
degree...
talk Chargers Bengals, though. I mean, that one was that was just a game of purely runs. If the Chargers had get that turnover on Mixon that went back for 6, I think the Bengals would have won.
Really, it goes to that long pass to Chase, that perfect ball that Burrow laid.
Could have been 6. Could have been 6.
What?
Could have been 6.
It would have been 6 if he had caught that ball in stride like he should have, because you couldn't hand place that ball more perfectly than he threw that. That should have been a touchdown. Had that been a touchdown, had that fumble not happened, we'd have an entirely different. Even though it was like a 19-point game, those 2 things don't happen. It's a whole different game.
Chargers had a lot of bad turnovers too, though, and a lot of fumbles in their own territory. Get better Austin Eckler is what you got to say about that.
Yeah, Eckler is not the Eckler of last year, early this year. He's definitely gone down. Herbert is all over the place. He can be great, he can be terrible, he can be mediocre. You're really just rolling the dice to see what Herbert you get. But that at least he still has great games too. Eckler. And also the receiving core, they're dropping the ball right and left.
I know, but that's part of why Herbert might not look as good on the stat sheet is because of that receiving core is doing.
And the only game the Chargers actually, when you look at the score, looked dominant in, was when they got a whole bunch of turnovers.
Well, when you look at the score of this game, I mean, it looks pretty dominant, 41-22.
No, it does, but when you analyze where everything came from and how the game was a 2-point game, basically going into the 4th quarter. A 2-point game. That's not dominating another team. And then you get these bad plays and stuff. That's how what decided the game.
Okay.
Anyway,
What about?
but coming back to the Pats, unlike any of the other teams, even including Kansas City, they're dominating in their games. They're dominating.
Mm-hmm. All right, but what about the Colts?
I don't know if you remember this, but if you look back over the whole year, they've only lost 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
3 of those 4 losses were an overtime, a 1-point loss, and a 2-point loss. They've only had 1 loss that you could even say where it wasn't like a game right down to the wire. So that's why I put them in a different category. KC, even though they've won, I think 4 in a row now, they're winning entirely on their defense. Mahomes is not the Mahomes of before. He's very iffy right now.
This is so amazing. This is one of the best moments, I think. Okay.
I'm not saying it's going to stay that way.
What are you talking about, Mahomes?
You think Mahomes
This
looks
guy-
like he did last year and the year before?
But he's a baller, and ballers are going to ball in the playoffs.
He hasn't. I don't think he's thrown a touchdown
going
pass.
to They're going to the Super Bowl.
You have to go three games back.
They're going to the Super Bowl.
But anyway, do you see how this layout
Yes,
does make
I
sense?
see. Okay.
How do you separate Bengals, Chargers, Titans, and Ravens? How do you separate those
I
things?
want to talk about the Colts.
Yeah, that's the one team, even though I didn't put them in that second generation.
They should be on that second. They're
Well,
one of the. They're one. I think
they're only
be-
7 and 6.
Honestly, I'm going to say this. I think they're better than most of those teams on the second tier. You got that.
Well, I like them too. And their losses are, to unlike these other teams, who sometimes we've got teams losing to the Jaguars.
Yeah.
That are supposedly in contention.
Mm-hmm.
What is that all about? But
Nothing
the
good.
Colts, at least when they lose, it's to a good team.
Mm-hmm.
And they're 4-1. They're only 7 and 6, but they're 4-1 in their last 5.
Yeah.
And they look tough to me. They look like
JT.
I think they could do something.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor is just such a good back. And okay, now on the third tier, I see you have Steelers, Raiders, Browns.
Well,
Broncos
they're
and
just
Dolphins.
they're sort of just a bunch of slop, really.
Yeah.
I don't think
What about the Dolphins though?
somebody
5-game win
has
streak.
to make the playoffs.
No, but 5-game win streak for the Dolphins. I really am.
But they're 6 and 7. They're 6 and 7.
I know. But
6 and 7. 4 games left. They're 6 and 7.
I'm just saying they're a good team.
They have a lot to overcome.
They have a lot to overcome, but they have a lot of potential. They always kind of do this. Like at the end of last year, they started playing well and they just missed the playoffs. They have a chance to end up 10-7. I'm saying that they have a chance to end up 10-7 and make the playoffs.
Well, they've got 4 games. Yeah, if they win every game, that's going to be hard to do.
I mean, 9-8 might get it in the AFC. In the AFC?
Maybe.
All right.
I don't think 9-8 gets in.
Okay.
But I would give the Colts a better chance than the Dolphins.
Well, yeah, they have one better game, and they just are a good team.
Yes, I think they're a better team, but I think this isn't like some of these years where a team can sneak into the last spot or two, and then make a good run. These aren't teams. I don't believe those teams can make a run and overcome who I have in the top tier.
Okay, yeah, I agree. All right, we got to go to the NFC.
NFC is kind of a different story in a way, but also the same story. Because I've got 3 teams that have separated themselves here too. I really believe...
Bucks, Cards.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe there's clear separation between them and the next batch. The next batch I've got, Cowboys, Rams, 49ers, and believe it or not, you probably don't think 49ers belong there. I kind of do. But I've got Cowboys, Rams, not the Vikings, 49ers, and the Washington football team.
They're 6 and 6. They're coming on.
Now, I also think, kind of like in the AFC, I don't think these teams have a chance. I don't give the Cowboys any chance. I really,
you know what they're calling him? Heroic Heineke.
Oh, on the Washington. I don't give the Rams any chance, even though they've got such talent on that roster. They've had bad losses. There's losses that you can kind of explain away, and then they're just disgustingly bad losses. But the Pack really hasn't had that. They have no bad. You throw out that opening game, which I think they just weren't ready for. Throw that one out. It's not even a bad loss, but throw the one out where they didn't have Aaron Rodgers. They have no bad losses on their record. The Bucs do have a couple of bad losses, but I also think they match up extremely well. Their front seven is going to get stronger and stronger. They're going to put pressure on the other team. I think you can't go wrong with Tom Brady in the playoffs. That's been proven for 20 years now. And I think the amazing team in all this is the Cardinals.
Yeah.
The Cardinals hang in there without arguably their best player.
Connor is just...
Connor
he's
is
so
coming
underrated.
on. Oh, yeah.
He's so underrated.
But he also looks better to me now.
Mm-hmm.
We liked him, if you recall. We
Yeah.
liked him on the Steelers. We had him on our fantasy team.
Yeah.
And he was good. But he's doing things now I don't remember him ever doing before. Some of these catches.
No.
Did you see the catch he made?
Yeah, he's great out of the backfield.
Yeah, he's really impacting that team. I also think picking up Ertz.
No, Ertz is a big pickup.
I don't know why Philadelphia
yeah.
gave him up. I always thought Ertz was good.
Uh-huh.
But Ertz is having impact on that team.
Uh-huh.
And he's kind of, he could be for Kyler Murray what Gronk is for TB. Mm-hmm. He could.
Yeah.
Because he's a big guy. He's an easy target when you really need somebody. And then Kyler Murray.
Yeah, but we gotta get on with the show a little bit. Running short on time. What about the Rams?
I have no faith in the Rams are 1-3 in their last 4, and the one win they've had was against Jacksonville.
No, I know.
Why would anybody have any faith in the Rams at this point? Makes no sense.
No, but they have
I
a
have
bright
much
spot.
more faith
they have
in
a
the
bright
49ers.
spot in Cup.
Cup is the best receiver in the league.
I also picked Seattle over the 49ers. Another good pick.
Yeah, you did. That was a good pick. But aside from that game, and there was a lot of craziness happening in that game too. That was a fluky game. You take that game out, because also something happened to the 49ers running attack. They were rushing the ball so well.
They really were.
In the last few games. I still think that's there. I don't really know what happened.
I know Garoppolo's doing okay now.
But I know they're 2 games behind, but I have more confidence.
To get a chance.
I have more confidence in the 49ers than I do in the Rams.
They took a chance with Lance, and I think that chance is going to pay off with Lance. If they just...
they're going more the traditional route.
I know. I don't like this.
Look at how it worked out for Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
Look at how it worked out for Mahomes.
Okay.
But I have no confidence in the Rams. Cowboys, really, their last 5 games, they're 2-3. Why would you have confidence in them?
I do have confidence in the Cowboys.
Why?
Because they have all the pieces.
They have the pieces, but do they look any good?
They need
their run does not.
Coaching needs
they're
to be
not
better.
Rushing the ball.
No, I know.
Their running game looks terrible.
I want to get the ball to Pollard more.
Dak doesn't look good
Zeke
anymore.
is done.
Yeah. Well, he's also
Pollard
hurt. He's
good.
always hurt these last couple of years.
Pollard is good. I think Pollard.
But their rushing
Tony
attack
Pollard
is not going to carry them.
No, I know.
Dak Prescott is not playing like he was supposed to be playing.
Yes, I am
So
aware.
when those guys are question marks, the whole team is a question mark.
All right, we gotta go on to the NBA. Quick little thing about the NBA: Warriors lost to the Spurs. Do you think this is anything?
Warriors lost to Spurs. I think that was the one thing I got right in all of the conversation last week. These back-to-backs are hard on these teams. You know, that's why I think really in that week of games between the Suns and the Warriors, you have to say the Suns came out of that much more impressive than the Warriors. The Warriors had the bigger win,
had the blowout.
But it was a back-to-back. For the Suns, it's not a fair comparison.
But they were playing the Pacers.
It's still a back-to-back. The Warriors were playing San Antonio, which is not a good team this year. And look what happened to them. They were struggling to stay within 20 for most of the game.
No, but then they came back.
They came back, but still, they did. Did they look like a team that was going to win the championship in that game? No, they did not. Now, the team that I think is impressive, and it just breaks. I love the Bucks. It breaks my heart that Giannis is. Now, I don't think it's any kind of a long-term thing, but he's missed 2 games now. They're still 9-1 in their last 10.
Yeah, honestly,
How are
Yeah.
people not on the Bucks bandwagon?
Okay, but what about? I mean, we gotta check out the Jazz and the Grizz.
The Grizzlies, the Jazz were supposed to be good,
Ja.
but how are the Grizzlies 7-3 without their best player?
Yeah.
I think they're
I don't.
2-0 without their best player.
Yeah.
How are they doing it? These guys that are not household names are coming through for them.
Well, that's what you call
And it's
depth.
also good coaching.
It's depth, and it's yes, agreed. All right, but
I like Memphis a lot.
all right, we're gonna recap the rankings for college basketball. Purdue #1.
You know, I realize
No, we're gonna get to that in a second.
I always like
Purdue
Purdue.
#1.
You know I like
I
Purdue.
know you like Purdue.
But I do not believe they're the #1 team. They're the #1 team right now.
No,
All
but
this
I
shows
think-
you
yeah, I
is
completely
making
agree.
these rankings.
No, but Zach Edey, everyone's talking up Zach Edey. This guy's just tall. That's all he's got.
And also, things haven't sorted themselves out yet.
Mm-hmm.
These teams are playing great, and then they're playing mediocre 3 days apart.
Agreed.
They're, when your stars are 19 years old, in some cases even 18, you're not getting the consistency that you would hope for.
Okay,
and early in the year, it just takes time.
What about Baylor?
Baylor is a good team. It
Baylor-
doesn't mean
Baylor
they
is
should
a
be
very
number
good
2.
team.
It doesn't mean they should be number
I don't
2.
think, even though everyone else gives Meyer a lot of credit, last year when they had a bunch of great players, he didn't get the ball that much. And I think Meyer's a good player because I think
He is a good player. There's no
because
question.
he kind of plays every position.
You don't start and
He's
get
just
a
a team
featured
player.
position with a major Division I team unless you're really, really good.
All right, what about Duke?
I think Duke has just had a bad day or two.
I
I
think Duke had
think
a bad
they've
day.
got tremendous talent on that team. NBA talent. All these guys we're
Banchero,
talking about.
Keels.
And I still believe in Gonzaga. I know they had a bad loss, but
We're
I
not
still-
talking Gonzaga yet.
I still
All right,
believe in them.
UCLA.
I don't believe in
Number
them
4.
as much, but they're a good team.
For some reason, you have something.
They're a good team. They
From-
could be a #1 seed come tournament time, but they don't have the NBA talent on their roster that like Duke
But
does.
it's a team.
Or
it's a
Gonzaga for
team.
that matter.
Basketball is a team game, and that's what they have. They're team players. All right, last thing. Gonzaga. Number 5.
You love Gonzaga.
Wait, I'm just gonna go back when you said, Gonzaga. You said Gonzaga was the best team. No one looks like they come close to Gonzaga.
That was a big mistake. I admit it. Big
They
mistake.
lost to Alabama.
I think they kind of learned something last year. Sort of like the Warriors learned back in, what was
I
it,
called this
2016?
Holmgren sucks. They all stink. This team's Few doesn't know what he's talking about anymore.
Wait, what are
He's
you
got
talking about
few
now?
brain cells.
Oh, God. Few has the most tournament wins in the last decade over any team. Kansas doesn't have as many. Duke doesn't have as many. North Carolina doesn't have as many. Villanova doesn't have as many. So, don't disparage Mark Few. That's just ridiculous.
What do you have to say?
But I think what some teams maybe are understanding, when you're good enough where you know you're going to be a high seed come tournament time,
They've
season
lost twice.
the season is meant for learning.
But they've lost twice.
Trying
now.
to be perfect in the season accomplishes nothing
So are you saying
other
they
than
shouldn't
tiring
try?
you out.
You're saying they shouldn't try.
No, I think they should, but it's a learning experience. Kind of like if we go back to the Warriors year they lost to Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think if they hadn't tried so hard to get that 73 wins, they would have lost in the playoffs? I don't think so.
That's a tough one. We'll debate.
But I think it's kind
we're
of
gonna have to
apparel.
debate that another time. All right, thank you for watching Sports Right Now. We're saying so long from our studios. Goodbye from Sports Right Now. Sports Right Now.